Hi everybody, Dr. Joel Portnoy again here from ENT and Allergy Associates. I wanted to share my feelings and my personal experience with coronavirus. If you're feeling anything like I'm feeling, it's been a crazy few weeks. It feels like it's been months, but really just a month ago, I was at a major conference and seemed like everything was going along the way it always was. And then all of a sudden we are isolating from each other and seeing patients through computers and talking to people 6 feet away. And I wanted to go through my experience, not only as a doctor, but also as a patient who tested positive for coronavirus, and sort of dispel some of the misinformation that's out there, because I think what a lot of people are hearing is that either people are extremely sick, dying, or not affected at all. And while that is possibly the situation, there are a lot of patients that are in between, such as myself. So I wanted to kind of share my experience with that. And so exactly 3 weeks ago tonight, I started having some symptoms of shortness of breath. I noticed that when I was exercising, I couldn't exercise quite as well. I have a baseline history of asthma, which is a disease that affects the lungs, and sometimes you need an inhaler. And generally I don't use an inhaler, but I was finding I was using it a lot more than usual. And over the coming days, I noticed that even without exercising, I was starting to use that inhaler a lot more. So I knew something was wrong. And my family and my friends and my colleagues encouraged me to get checked. And so I got a test, and about 10 days later, I found out that I had tested positive for COVID-19. And so what had happened is, as soon as I started feeling symptoms, I isolated, I stopped going to the office, I started seeing patients primarily through telehealth. But you know, some of the thoughts that were going through my head was initially really a lot of concern for my patients and family and friends who I had just recently been in contact with, because I really wasn't having symptoms, and it's possible that I could have spread it. Now, I've since found out that nobody that I've been in contact with has contracted coronavirus, which is really amazing, and I'm really grateful for that. But, you know, I did notice that a lot of people were isolating from their families, because if they're having a lot of exposure, they've been staying away from their wives or husbands or their kids. My family was already in contact with me so much that they were already exposed. So it really seemed unnecessary to me. So we've all been in isolation now for nearly 2.5 weeks. I think that that's been a really good experience for us in terms of being a family unit, but also it's can be a little bit trying. I'm sure some of you out there have experienced some different emotions and whatnot, but I wanted to dispel some of the misinformation that's out there about how this can affect you. And most people will have heard that you can have fevers, you can have cough, some people feel really weak, and then other people like myself could have actually not had any of those symptoms. I never developed a fever, I never had a cough. Essentially what I was having, and what I'm still having to this day, but less so than I was, is shortness of breath, feeling as if someone was sitting on my chest or compressing me from here and from here and squeezing all the air out of me, and such that I wasn't even really able to take a full breath in. I felt very breathless. Every time that I would walk 10 feet, or especially walking up a flight of stairs, I would be winded. I was unable to do any sort of physical activity or exercise. Often I would find that I would need to lay on my belly to feel as if I was getting enough air in. And one of the things that they don't tell you about when they talk about symptoms is this fear, this panic that, am I going to keep breathing? Am I going to stop breathing in the middle of the night? I didn't know if I was going to wake up. And obviously, you know, fear can be really powerful. So I would recommend that anybody who has these kinds of symptoms certainly be in touch, not only with your doctor, but also with your family and your friends. Just tell them, hey, look, I'm having these feelings. Sometimes I may need to give you a call and reach out. You know, so I kept hearing about all these patients that on the 5th, the 6th day of the illness, they would be getting worse. And this really scared me, especially because I was already having so much pain in my chest and shortness of breath and tightness. And the other thing I was feeling was a lot of guilt, because I'm somebody who, I like to jump right in. I like to help. I always like to be there and helping other individuals. I mean, I guess that's why I went into medicine in the first place, because I just want to help other people. And I was sidelined from that. And I'm seeing all of my friends and my colleagues who are still able to do so, working their tails off and putting themselves in harm's way every single day. And I really respect that. As much as I wanted to get out on the front lines, I really couldn't see myself doing that, obviously, because not only was I COVID positive, but also I couldn't climb a set of stairs without some degree of breathlessness. And so I think that, I really was encouraged by my own physicians and my family to just rest. And essentially that's what I've been doing. And I feel so much better. I'm about 70% of where I should be at this point. But you can see I'm still short of breath, and I'm still having some difficulty with breathing and whatnot. And my case was actually something that was mild, borderline on moderate. And I would essentially talk about one thing that you can have in your home that would be really, really helpful for you is actually having something called a pulse oximeter. And so this is something that is actually going to measure the oxygen concentration in your blood. And it not only is very helpful from an objective standpoint of knowing what numbers you have, but also it's important for you to realize that the oxygen levels in your blood are really the main reason why so many people with mild symptoms have to be hospitalized. They need oxygen. And so if you can measure the oxygen concentration in your blood, that would be really, really helpful. And it's just a small clip that goes on your finger. It gives you a small readout of what your heart rate is and also about how much oxygen is in your blood at the time. So if I can give you one piece of advice for anyone with mild symptoms who can get their hands on one, either through Amazon or through other retailers, is to get a pulse oximeter to measure pulse oximetry, which is, again, the oxygen levels in your blood. But I want to remind everybody that most people are going to be asymptomatic, in other words, without symptoms, or have mild symptoms, such as some mild fatigue, feeling tired, feeling off, muscle aches, some fever and whatnot. And I just would recommend also that everyone just listen to the CDC and listen to what those recommendations are as to when you're able to enter into the general population again and go out and get groceries. Otherwise, have things delivered to your house. Have your friends and family help you out. Obviously, stay 6 feet apart. And, I'm looking forward to getting back to work tomorrow to start engaging in phone calls, which I haven't been able to do in the past couple of weeks. And I really do find that I miss helping people. So I hope you find this video helpful. If you do, great. Do me a favor, follow me. You can find me on Facebook, you can find me on Instagram. I'm on Instagram and on YouTube. And also share this video, share it with friends. My reach is only so far. And if you can help me by sharing this video with someone else that you know would really get something out of it, I would be happy to get that information to them. And also, if there's any other videos or any other topics that you want me to talk about and sort of break it down in a way that's understandable, that's what I love doing, which is essentially taking really complex medical topics and breaking them down so that everybody can understand what I'm talking about. If there's anything else that I can do, feel free to reach out to me, and stay well, stay healthy, everyone.